Since the beginning of time, there has been an unseen battle, a war between light and darkness, truth and deception, purpose and distraction. In the midst of this conflict, some individuals are marked, set apart for something greater. But the tragedy is that most never recognize it. They go through life feeling different, facing unusual struggles, sensing that something about them doesn't quite fit into the world's mold. What if this isn't a coincidence? What if everything you have gone through, your battles, your isolation, even your deepest struggles, has been pointing to a divine calling? There are signs, undeniable and powerful, that indicate when someone is chosen by God. But society conditions people to ignore these signs, to suppress their true nature in favor of chasing money, status, and approval. The world tells you that success is about riches, that your worth is measured by how much you own. But deep inside, you know there's more. Something inside you has always whispered that your life was meant for a greater impact. Many of the most powerful figures in history, biblical leaders, prophets, and game changers, were set apart from birth. But before they stepped into their calling, they had to go through a process. They had to recognize the signs, embrace the purpose, and rise into who they were always meant to be. Moses, David, Joseph, and even Jesus all walked this path. And today, you will discover whether you too have been walking it without even realizing it. This video is not just information, it's a revelation. By the end of it, you will no longer see your life the same way. You will have clarity. You will understand why you've always felt different. You will recognize why your journey has been filled with struggles that others don't seem to face. And most importantly, you will know what to do next. But before we continue, make sure you are fully engaged. This is not a message you want to miss. Pay close attention, because the insights shared here could be the turning point in your life. If you're ready, if you feel something stirring inside you, then let's begin this journey together. Because the time for answers is now. From a young age, those who are chosen by God often feel different from everyone around them. It's an internal knowing, a sense that they don't quite fit into the patterns of the world. While others seem content chasing superficial pleasures, they are drawn to deeper questions. Why am I here? What is my purpose? Is there something greater guiding my life? These are not ordinary thoughts for children, yet the chosen experience them early. They may struggle to relate to their peers, feeling like they are watching the world from the outside. This feeling of separation isn't a flaw, it's a sign that they were never meant to conform, but to transform. As children, many chosen individuals display unique qualities that set them apart. They may be unusually wise for their age, showing deep understanding beyond their years. They may have an innate sense of justice, standing up for what is right even when others don't. While other kids focus on play, they might spend hours reflecting, creating, or seeking knowledge. This is because their spirit is already attuned to something greater. They are not distracted by what is temporary. They are drawn to what is eternal. And yet, because of this, they often feel alone. But what if that loneliness was always part of the plan? This sense of being different often comes with resistance. Society teaches conformity. Schools reward those who fit in. Families, even with good intentions, try to shape children according to the world's expectations. When a chosen child questions traditions or refuses to follow the crowd, they are labeled as rebellious or strange. They may be misunderstood, criticized, or even ridiculed. But deep down, they know that they cannot pretend to be like everyone else. Something within them refuses to settle. They are driven by an unseen force, an inner calling that will not let them go. Have you ever felt this way? Have you ever looked around and thought, why do I see things differently from everyone else? If so, this is no accident. The Bible is filled with stories of those who were set apart from birth. Joseph had prophetic dreams that made his brothers despise him. Samuel heard God's voice as a child while others were asleep. David was anointed to be king while still a shepherd boy. The pattern is clear. Those who are chosen are different from the start. But before stepping into their destiny, they must first recognize what sets them apart. Here's the challenge. Many chosen ones suppress their uniqueness. They try to blend in, ignoring the signs, just to feel accepted. But in doing so, they silence the very purpose they were born for. If you've been feeling different your whole life, stop seeing it as a burden. It's a gift. It's confirmation that you were meant for something beyond the ordinary. The world might not understand you, but that's because you were not created for the world. You were created to rise above it. If this resonates with you, let this be your sign. You are not lost. You are not strange. You are chosen. And the first step to embracing your calling is to stop running from who you truly are. Because the moment you embrace your difference is the moment you step into the reason you were created. One of the most undeniable signs that you are chosen by God is the presence of intense struggles in your life. While others seem to have an easy path, the chosen often walk through fire. From childhood, they face hardships that seem unfair: rejection, betrayal, loss, or overwhelming challenges. It may feel as if life is working against them, but in reality, life is shaping them. These struggles are not random. They are preparation. God does not choose people for greatness and leave them untested. He refines them through fire, strengthening them for what is to come. Look at Joseph. He was given dreams of greatness, but before those dreams came true, he was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery and thrown into prison. Look at David. He was anointed to be king, but before he ruled, he spent years being hunted, hiding in caves, and fighting battles. Look at Moses. He was born to be a leader, yet he spent 40 years in exile before stepping into his calling. The pattern is clear. Before stepping into purpose, the chosen must endure testing. The question is, will they break or will they rise? The enemy recognizes destiny before the chosen one does. That is why some of the greatest attacks happen before people even understand who they are. Have you ever faced resistance that felt too strong for no reason? Have you ever experienced betrayal from those closest to you? Have you ever wondered why things seem harder for you than for others? This is not a coincidence. The battles in your life are not meant to destroy you. They are meant to reveal you. They are designed to push you into strength, wisdom, and unshakable faith. Many people give up before their breakthrough. They see the struggle as a sign that they are on the wrong path. But the truth is, the struggle is proof that they are on the right path. The greater the calling, the greater the opposition. The enemy does not waste his energy attacking those who are not a threat. He targets those who have the power to change the world. If you have been under attack, take it as confirmation. Something in you is powerful, and that is why darkness is trying so hard to stop you. Now is the moment to shift your mindset. Stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What is this preparing me for?" Stop running from the struggle and start embracing it as training. Every hardship is building something inside of you. Every betrayal is teaching you discernment. Every rejection is forcing you to rely on God instead of people. And when the time comes, all of it will make sense. This is where many people fail. They mistake the test for the end. But for those who endure, for those who refuse to quit, a new chapter is coming. And in that chapter, the struggle will not be your identity. It will be your testimony. One of the most painful yet revealing signs of being chosen by God is the feeling of isolation. From a young age, those with a divine calling often find themselves alone, misunderstood, or disconnected from the world around them. This is not because they lack love or social skills, but because their spirit does not align with the world's patterns. They crave deeper meaning, while others chase superficial pleasures. They see through deception, while others accept falsehoods as truth. This separation is not a curse, it is a calling. A calling to walk a path that few will understand, but many will eventually follow. Biblical figures who changed history walked this path of isolation. Joseph was betrayed by his own brothers. Moses spent years in exile. David was rejected even by his own family before becoming king. Even Jesus, the Son of God, often withdrew to be alone, knowing that his mission was far greater than the approval of men. Isolation is not a sign of abandonment. It is a sign of preparation. God pulls the chosen away from distractions so they can hear his voice more clearly. The world's noise is loud, but in solitude, divine wisdom is revealed. Many chosen individuals struggle with loneliness, mistaking it for rejection. They wonder why friendships don't last, why they feel different in crowds, why they are drawn to moments of deep reflection, while others seem content with surface-level living. The truth is, God separates before he elevates. He removes what is unnecessary before he blesses. He allows isolation not to punish, but to purify. Those who are called must first walk alone, so that when they rise, they are unshaken by the opinions of men. This is a moment of decision. Many people fill their isolation with distractions, social media, meaningless relationships, entertainment, trying to escape the discomfort of being alone. But the chosen ones embrace it. They understand that this is not punishment, but preparation. Instead of running to the world for validation, they draw closer to God. They build their strength in the silence. They develop their purpose in the unseen moments. Because when their time comes, they will not rise unprepared. Have you been feeling distant from people? Have you been struggling with loneliness that seems unexplainable? This is your sign. Instead of resisting it, embrace it. Use this time to grow, to sharpen your mind, to deepen your spiritual foundation. Because the moment will come when the isolation ends, and when it does, you will step into the reason you were called in the first place. The chosen do not belong to the crowd. They are meant to stand apart, to lead, to guide. If you are in a season of loneliness, understand that you are not alone. You are being positioned. You are being refined. And soon, the very people who once overlooked you will see why you had to walk alone before you could lead. One of the clearest signs that someone is chosen by God is the level of attack they experience. Those who are called face an unusual amount of resistance, not because they are weak, but because they are dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. Before they even step into their purpose, opposition arises. Unexpected betrayals, financial struggles, emotional battles, even spiritual attacks, all designed to make them question their path. But the truth is, the greater the calling, the greater the warfare. The enemy does not waste his energy on those who have no impact. He targets those who carry power, influence, and divine purpose. The Bible is filled with examples of this pattern. Before Moses could lead the Israelites, Pharaoh tried to kill him as a baby. Before Jesus could begin his ministry, King Herod ordered the massacre of infants. Before David could become king, he was hunted by Saul. The enemy sees potential before the chosen one does, and he moves early to destroy it. Have you faced battles that seem too great for no reason? Have you wondered why you experience resistance even when you are just trying to live a good life? This is not random. This is confirmation. Many chosen ones fall into despair when they experience hardship, thinking it means they are on the wrong path. But in reality, the attacks are proof that they are exactly where they need to be. Resistance is a sign of importance. If the enemy is fighting you, it means you are a threat. It means there is something inside you that has the power to shift atmospheres, to break generational cycles, to lead people into truth. The enemy does not fight those who follow the crowd. He fights those who will one day lead. This is the moment to shift your mindset. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" start asking, "What is this preparing me for?" The battles you are facing are not about your present. They are about your future. They are designed to shape you, to make you stronger, to teach you how to fight and endure. Every great leader in history first had to learn how to battle in private before they could lead in public. Your struggles are training ground for your purpose. Many people quit right before their breakthrough. They allow the pressure to crush them instead of refining them. But those who understand what is really happening do not run from the battle. They rise in the middle of it. They understand that no attack can stop what God has already planned. They see the resistance and recognize it for what it is, confirmation of their calling. If you are facing challenges that seem unfair, do not let them break you. Let them build you. Understand that you are being prepared for something greater than you can see right now. And when the battle is over, you will not just survive. You will step into everything that was meant for you. One of the most undeniable signs of being chosen is the change in what interests you. Those who are called by God eventually experience a shift where the things of the world no longer satisfy them. While others chase money, status, and material success, the chosen begin to seek deeper meaning. Luxury loses its appeal. Empty conversations become unbearable. Superficial relationships feel draining. Instead, they crave wisdom, truth, and purpose. This is not a phase, it is a transformation. This shift can be unsettling at first. Many chosen individuals try to force themselves to enjoy what others do, only to find themselves feeling more disconnected. They may go out with friends but feel empty in the crowd. They may achieve success but still feel unfulfilled. They may have everything the world says should make them happy, Yet something inside them whispers, "There's more." That whisper is the calling. It is the sign that they were never meant to live an ordinary life. The Bible teaches that those who walk with God are transformed by the renewal of their minds. Their desires change. Their vision expands. They no longer seek what is temporary. They hunger for what is eternal. This is why many chosen individuals find themselves naturally pulling away from certain environments, habits, and even people. It is not that they are better than others. It is that they are being prepared for something higher. At this stage, many people fight against the transformation. They try to hold on to old friendships, force old habits, and fit into places where they no longer belong. But resisting the shift only brings frustration. The truth is, once your eyes are opened, you cannot go back. Once you have seen purpose, you cannot be satisfied with distractions. The world will try to pull you back, but the chosen ones understand that the cost of ignoring their calling is too high. Have you noticed this shift in your own life? Have you lost interest in the things that once entertained you? Have you felt the desire to grow, to learn, to step into something greater? If so, embrace it. It is not a loss. It is a transformation. It is the proof that you are stepping into who you were always meant to be. The world will always try to keep you trapped in cycles of mediocrity, but the chosen ones are called to rise above. This is your moment to choose. Will you stay in the past, or will you step into the future that was always meant for you? There comes a moment in the life of every chosen one when they can no longer ignore their calling. It starts as a whisper, a subtle feeling that there is something more, something beyond what they have been doing. But over time, that whisper turns into a voice that cannot be silenced. No matter how much they try to fit into the world's expectations, something inside them resists. They may attempt to follow a normal path, pursuing wealth, status, relationships, or approval, but nothing satisfies them for long. They may achieve success by society's standards, yet they still feel empty. This is not a coincidence. It is a divine interruption, a reminder that they were created for something greater than ordinary existence. Biblical figures who were chosen by God all experienced this moment of realization. Moses lived in Pharaoh's palace, enjoying wealth and privilege, yet he could not ignore the suffering of his people. David was anointed as king while still a shepherd boy, but he had to wait years before stepping into his destiny. Jonah tried to run from his calling, but God's purpose for him was inescapable. Even Jesus, before starting his ministry, spent time in the wilderness preparing for what was to come. The pattern is clear. Those who are chosen will eventually reach a crossroads where they must decide whether to accept or reject their purpose. Many people fear this moment. They fear what they will have to give up. They fear stepping into the unknown. They fear leaving behind comfort, security, and familiarity. But what they don't realize is that the greatest danger is not stepping forward, it is staying stuck. Ignoring the calling does not make it go away. It only delays the inevitable. The longer one resists, the more life feels empty, frustrating, and meaningless. The chosen ones are not meant to live an ordinary life, and deep down, they know it. At this stage, distractions become unbearable. Conversations that once entertained them feel shallow. Pursuits that once excited them feel pointless. They start noticing things they never noticed before. Patterns, signs, divine alignments. They begin encountering people, situations, and opportunities that seem to be guiding them towards something bigger. It becomes impossible to ignore the truth. They were never meant to live like everyone else. They were always meant for something more. And now, they must make a choice. This is the point where many chosen ones struggle the most. They feel torn between the life they've always known and the life they were meant to live. They may be afraid of what people will say, afraid of failing, afraid of the unknown. But here is the truth. When God calls someone, He also equips them. He does not place a desire in someone's heart without also providing the strength and resources to fulfill it. The path may not be easy, but it will be worth it. If you have felt this pull in your life, this inescapable feeling that you are meant for something more, take it as confirmation. You are not imagining it. You are not being dramatic. You are being awakened. And now, the choice is yours. Will you answer the call, or will you spend your life running from it? Because eventually, every chosen one must decide. One of the most misunderstood phases of being chosen is the moment when everything seems to fall apart. Right before stepping into their true purpose, many chosen individuals experience some of the most intense challenges of their lives. Friendships end, careers crumble, plans fail. They lose things they thought they could never live without. It feels as if the world is working against them, stripping them of everything familiar. But in reality, this is not destruction. It is preparation. God is not punishing them. He is making room for what is coming next. Throughout history, those who were called by God went through this same process. Before Joseph became a ruler, he was betrayed, enslaved, and imprisoned. Before David became king, he was hunted and forced into exile. Before Moses led his people to freedom, he spent years in the wilderness. And even Jesus, before fulfilling his mission, endured rejection, suffering, and betrayal. This is the refining process. God removes everything that is not meant to go into the next season. He clears away distractions. He exposes false friendships. He takes away crutches so the chosen can learn to stand in faith. Many people give up during this phase. They mistake the loss for failure. They think that because everything is going wrong, they must have made a mistake. But the truth is, this is the final test before elevation. The enemy attacks hardest right before the breakthrough. Darkness fights hardest when the light is about to shine. The world feels unstable because transformation is happening, and only those who endure will see what was waiting on the other side. At this point, the chosen ones have two choices: resist the change and stay where they are, or surrender to the process and trust that something greater is being built. This is the moment where faith is tested. Can they trust God when everything looks broken? Can they believe in the unseen when everything visible is falling apart? This is not just about survival. It is about transformation. Because when the dust settles, the chosen will not just return to their old lives. They will step into a life they never imagined possible. Many people fear loss, but the chosen understand that nothing is truly lost in God's plan. What seems like destruction is actually redirection. What feels like an ending is really a new beginning. If something is being taken away, it is because something better is coming. But only those who endure, who trust, who refuse to let fear stop them, will step into the fullness of their destiny. If you are going through this season right now, if you feel like everything is being taken from you, know that this is not the end. This is the beginning. Everything is being rearranged for a reason. And if you do not give up, if you trust the process, you will soon see why everything had to happen the way it did. Your breakthrough is closer than you think. Rejection is one of the most painful experiences a person can endure. But for the chosen ones, it is often a repeated pattern in their lives. They are rejected by friends, family, workplaces, relationships, and even by people they trusted the most. No matter how much they try to belong, something always pushes them out. At first, this feels like a curse. It creates wounds, self-doubt, and the painful question, why am I never enough? But over time, they come to realize that rejection was never about them. It was about their purpose. God allows rejection not to break them, but to redirect them. Many of the greatest leaders in history were rejected before they were elevated. Joseph was cast out by his own brothers. David was overlooked by his own family. Moses was pushed away by both the Egyptians and the Israelites before he became a leader. Even Jesus, the Son of God, was rejected by his own people. The chosen ones are not meant to fit in because they were never created to. Their destiny is too big to be confined by small-minded people. Their purpose is too powerful to be limited by temporary approval. Rejection hurts because humans are wired for connection. The desire to be accepted, to be loved, to be part of something is natural. But for the chosen, that desire often goes unfulfilled in the ways they expect. Instead of receiving love from where they seek it, they are forced to turn to God. They learn to stop relying on people for validation. They begin to understand that rejection is not a sign of unworthiness, but of redirection. Every door that closes is leading them to the one that was always meant for them. The world tells people to seek approval, to fit in, to be liked. But the chosen ones are called to be different. They are called to lead, to challenge, to change things. And leadership always comes with opposition. Those who challenge the status quo are always resisted by those who benefit from it. That is why rejection is not a punishment. It is a sign of elevation. The ones who are meant to walk a higher path cannot be held down by the limitations of others. If you have experienced rejection, take a moment to reflect. Every time you were pushed away, something greater was waiting ahead. Every time you were removed from a place, you were being positioned for something better. Every no was God's way of making space for the right yes. It is painful, but it is necessary. The chosen ones are not meant to be everywhere. They are meant to be exactly where they are destined to be. Rejection does not mean you are unworthy. It means you are set apart. The moment you embrace this truth, rejection loses its power over you. You will stop seeking approval from those who were never meant to validate you. And once that happens, you will be unstoppable. There is a time in the life of every chosen one when they feel invisible. No matter how hard they work, no matter how much they try, it seems like they are being overlooked. They see others succeeding, getting opportunities, moving forward, while they remain stuck. This season is frustrating, confusing, and filled with questions. Why is nothing happening for me? Why does it feel like I am being held back? But what they don't realize is that this season is not punishment. It is preparation. God is keeping them hidden, not to delay them, but to develop them. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before leading Israel. David spent years tending sheep before becoming king. Joseph spent time in prison before ruling Egypt. Jesus spent 30 years in obscurity before his ministry began. The pattern is clear. Before elevation comes isolation. Before promotion comes preparation. Those who are called to do great things must first be tested in private before they are revealed in public. During this hidden season, many chosen ones feel forgotten. They watch as people with less talent, less wisdom, and less integrity rise to positions they have prayed for. They wonder if God has abandoned them, if they have made a mistake, if they will ever step into their purpose. But what they don't see is that while the world overlooks them, God is building something inside them that cannot be shaken. This season is where their character is refined, where their patience is tested, where their faith is strengthened. Most people want to be seen, to be recognized, to be celebrated. But those who are chosen are not meant to rise before their time. If they are elevated too soon, they will lack the wisdom, strength, and endurance to sustain their calling. That is why God protects them by keeping them hidden until they are ready. The world rushes, but God moves with precision. Every delay is intentional. Every closed door is part of the process. Nothing is wasted. If you are in a season where it feels like nothing is happening, trust that something is. Just because you are unseen does not mean you are unimportant. Just because you are not being celebrated does not mean you are not being prepared. Every hidden season has an expiration date. And when the time comes, the ones who were once invisible will rise in ways no one expected. Do not despise the season of being hidden. It is not a setback, it is a setup. The longer the preparation, the greater the purpose. And when God finally reveals what He has been doing in the dark, the world will not be able to ignore it. One of the biggest changes that happens when someone is chosen by God is the transformation of their relationships. People start to leave. Friendships fall apart. Certain connections that once felt strong suddenly feel empty. At first, this is painful. Many chosen ones struggle with the feeling of loss, wondering why the people they loved are walking away. But over time, they realize that this is not just a coincidence. It is divine separation. Not everyone is meant to go where you are going. Some people are in your life only for a season. They were part of your past, but they are not meant to be part of your future. The chosen ones often experience sudden shifts in their relationships because God is removing distractions, making space for the right people and protecting them from those who would hold them back. It is never easy to lose relationships, but it is necessary for growth. Many chosen individuals try to hold on to old friendships, forcing connections that no longer serve them. But doing so only creates frustration. When God removes people from your life, it is not rejection, it is protection. He sees what you cannot. He hears conversations you never heard. He knows the hearts of people before their intentions are exposed. If someone is leaving your life, trust that it is for a reason. This is the moment where clarity comes. The chosen ones begin to realize that many of their past relationships were based on comfort, not purpose. They start seeing patterns they never noticed before. The people who doubted them, the ones who discouraged them, the ones who kept them distracted, they were never meant to stay. And once these people leave, something shifts. A new level of focus, peace, and alignment takes over. This is not a time to grieve. It is a time to prepare. The right people are coming. The ones who will push you forward, who will believe in your vision, who will walk beside you without envy or competition. When God removes, He also replaces. And what is coming will be greater than what was lost. If you are losing people right now, do not fear. It is only a sign that you are being positioned for something bigger. The wrong people must leave so that the right ones can enter. And when they do, you will understand why everything had to happen the way it did. There comes a defining moment in the life of every chosen one when everything suddenly becomes clear. It may happen slowly over time, or it may happen in an instant, but the realization is always the same. They were never meant to live an ordinary life. The struggles, the isolation, the rejection, the constant feeling of being different, it all starts to make sense. They begin to see patterns they never noticed before. They start recognizing that every event in their life, every hardship, every moment of pain, was not random. It was all part of a greater plan. At this stage, chosen individuals begin to experience a deep hunger for knowledge and wisdom. They start questioning everything they once accepted as truth. They no longer believe in the illusions of society, the false promises of wealth, the empty pursuit of status, the distractions designed to keep people asleep. Instead, they seek truth, purpose, and divine alignment. The things that once entertained them now feel meaningless. The goals they once pursued now seem empty. The relationships they once valued now feel shallow. They realize that what they have been searching for was never outside of them, it was always within. This awakening is both powerful and unsettling. On one hand, it brings a deep sense of clarity and peace. For the first time, they understand who they are and why they have always felt different. But on the other hand, it creates a divide between them and the rest of the world. They start seeing through the lies that most people still believe. They start recognizing the traps that keep people stuck in cycles of fear, distraction, and self-doubt. And because of this, they find it harder to relate to others. Many chosen ones struggle with this phase because it feels lonely. They want to share what they have learned, but not everyone is ready to hear it. Some people resist the truth because it challenges their comfortable illusions. Others reject it because they are not yet ready to wake up. This is where discernment becomes essential. Not everyone can go on this journey with them. Not everyone will understand. But that is okay, because the chosen ones were never meant to follow the crowd. They were meant to lead it. Once this awakening happens, there is no going back. They can no longer pretend to be like everyone else. They can no longer force themselves to care about things that do not matter. They can no longer ignore the calling that has been placed on their life. They have two choices. Either they embrace it fully, or they try to suppress it and live in frustration. But deep down, they already know the truth. Once their eyes have been opened, they can never be closed again. If you are experiencing this awakening, trust the process. It may feel overwhelming, but it is leading you exactly where you need to be. Everything you have been through has been preparing you for this moment. And now, it is time to step into the purpose you were always meant to fulfill. One of the biggest challenges of being chosen is learning to walk by faith, not by sight. Unlike others who follow predictable paths, the chosen ones are called to step into the unknown. They are asked to trust in something they cannot yet see, to follow a vision that is not yet fully formed, to move forward even when they do not know where the path will lead. This is one of the greatest tests they will ever face. Because true faith is not just believing in God, it is trusting Him even when nothing makes sense. Throughout history, the chosen ones were always tested in this way. Abraham was asked to leave everything behind without knowing where he was going. Moses had to lead his people through the wilderness without knowing how they would survive. David was anointed king but had to endure years of trials before he saw the throne. Even Jesus, before stepping into his mission, spent time in the wilderness being tested. The pattern is clear. Before stepping into greatness, the chosen must first walk in uncertainty. Most people struggle with this test because human nature craves security. The world teaches that success comes from control, from having a clear plan, from knowing every step before taking action. But the chosen ones are called to a different path. They are called to let go of control and surrender to divine timing. They are called to trust even when logic tells them otherwise. They are called to move forward even when fear tries to hold them back. At this stage, many people experience doubt. They question whether they heard God correctly. They wonder if they are making a mistake. They fear what will happen if they step out in faith and fail. But what they do not realize is that the fear itself is part of the test. Will they allow it to stop them, or will they push through it? Will they trust in the vision even when they cannot yet see the outcome? This is where true strength is developed. This is where faith becomes unshakable. The chosen ones who pass this test experience something powerful: supernatural provision. Doors that seemed closed begin to open. Resources appear at the right time. Unexpected opportunities align perfectly. Things start falling into place in ways they could never have predicted. This is how they learn that they were never meant to rely on their own understanding. They were always meant to walk by faith, knowing that what is unseen is more real than what is visible. If you are in this phase, struggling with uncertainty, do not give up. You are not lost. You are being led. The fear you feel is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that you are stepping into something bigger than yourself. Keep moving. Keep believing. Keep trusting. Because the moment you fully surrender to the path, you will see that everything you needed was always there. You just had to take the first step. Every chosen one reaches a moment where they feel like they cannot continue. It is the breaking point, the place where everything becomes too heavy, too exhausting, too overwhelming. They question everything. They wonder if they misheard their calling. They feel abandoned, lost, and on the verge of giving up. This is the moment where the journey feels impossible, where the pressure feels unbearable. But what they do not realize is that this breaking point is not a sign of defeat. It is a sign that they are closer than ever to their breakthrough. This moment is inevitable because transformation is painful. Growth is uncomfortable. Becoming who you were meant to be requires shedding old versions of yourself, letting go of what no longer serves you, and stepping into the unknown. And that process is never easy. The enemy will whisper lies. You are not strong enough. You are wasting your time. You will never make it. But those who recognize what is happening do not listen to these voices. They understand that this is the final test before everything changes. Think of the greatest figures in history. Before their victories, they all had moments of despair. Joseph sat in prison, wondering if he would ever be free. Moses faced rejection from his own people, questioning if he was truly the one to lead them. Jesus, in the Garden of Gethsemane, was in such agony that he sweat blood, knowing the weight of what was to come. But none of them quit. They pushed through the breaking point, and because of that, they fulfilled their destinies. This is where many people fail. They mistake difficulty for a sign that they are on the wrong path, but in reality, difficulty is the proof that they are exactly where they need to be. The breaking point is where the old self dies and the new self is born. It is where fear is transformed into faith. It is where limitations are shattered. It is where the chosen ones are forged into warriors who can no longer be stopped. If you feel like giving up right now, take this as your sign not to. You are standing at the edge of something greater than you can imagine. The storm you are facing is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to refine you. Keep going. Keep believing. Keep fighting. Because on the other side of this breaking point is everything you have been waiting for. And once you push through, you will realize that the version of you that wanted to quit no longer exists. You will have stepped into your power, and nothing will ever shake you the same way again. After the breaking point, something incredible happens. The shift begins. The doors that once seemed locked suddenly start to open. The delays that once frustrated you now make sense. The people who left your life are replaced with the right ones. The opportunities you once struggled to find start appearing effortlessly. Everything that felt like a battle now turns into alignment. This is the moment when the chosen ones realize that everything was leading to this. This shift is not luck, it is the result of endurance. It happens because they refused to give up. It happens because they stayed faithful, even when they couldn't see the outcome. It happens because they allowed the process to shape them, instead of breaking them. And now they are stepping into the season that was always meant for them. Look at David. He spent years running from Saul, but when his time came, he stepped into his role as king. Look at Joseph. He endured betrayal, slavery, and imprisonment. But when the shift happened, he went from prisoner to ruler overnight. Look at Esther. She was taken from her home and forced into the palace. But when the right moment came, she saved an entire nation. The chosen ones are always prepared in private before they are revealed in public. At this point, the chosen start to see why everything had to happen the way it did. They see why certain people had to leave, why certain doors had to close, why certain struggles had to be endured. What once felt like chaos now feels like strategy. The pain they went through becomes their wisdom. The battles they fought become their strength. They realize that they were never being punished. They were being positioned. Many people give up before they reach this stage. They let the hardship convince them that their destiny was never real. But those who push through, they step into levels of success, purpose, and alignment that others cannot even comprehend. They realize that their journey was never just about them. It was about preparing them to help others rise as well. If you feel like things are finally shifting for you, embrace it. Do not resist. Do not shrink back. Step forward boldly, because this is what you were made for. Everything is aligning exactly as it was always meant to. Many people believe that once they step into their purpose, the journey is complete. But the truth is, stepping into your calling is not the end. It is only the beginning. The chosen ones do not just rise for themselves. They rise so they can lead others. They are called to break generational curses, to shift atmospheres, to bring light into dark places. And with that calling comes responsibility. Moses did not just escape Egypt. He led an entire nation to freedom. David did not just become king. He built a kingdom that would last for generations. Esther did not just survive in the palace. She saved her people from destruction. Jesus did not just walk in his purpose. He changed the course of history. The chosen ones are not called to live for themselves. They are called to impact the world. This is where many people struggle. They want the rewards of being chosen, but they do not want the responsibility. They want to receive, but they do not want to serve. But the truth is, the higher you rise, the more you are required to give. The chosen ones are tested not just in struggle, but in success. Will they use their power for good? Will they stay humble when they rise? Will they continue to trust in God when things go well? Or will they forget who lifted them up? This is why character matters. This is why the process was necessary. The chosen ones had to go through the fire so they could be trusted with what comes next. They had to experience struggle so they would never take success for granted. They had to be humbled so they would never look down on others. Everything they went through was not just for them. It was to prepare them to lead. If you are stepping into your calling, understand this. Your purpose is bigger than you. It is not about fame. It is not about fortune. It is about impact. It is about legacy. It is about transforming lives, breaking chains, and leading people into their own purpose. The moment you understand this, everything changes. You were not chosen to live an easy life. You were chosen to change lives. And now, the real work begins. You have reached a turning point. Everything you have heard in this message was meant to prepare you, to awaken you, to remind you of who you truly are. The signs have been there all along. The struggles, the isolation, the rejection, the inner knowing that you were never meant to live like everyone else. But now, the choice is yours. Will you step into your calling, or will you continue ignoring the signs? Many people go their entire lives running from their purpose. They let fear hold them back. They let the opinions of others keep them small. They settle for a life that is safe, predictable, and ordinary. But the chosen ones do not have that option. They cannot silence the voice inside them that tells them they were made for more. They cannot ignore the truth that has been revealed to them. They must rise. They must walk in their divine assignment. They must become everything they were meant to be. But here is the reality. No one can make that decision for you. No one can force you to step into your destiny. You have to choose it for yourself. You have to be willing to leave behind the things that no longer serve you. You have to be willing to walk by faith, even when you cannot see the full path ahead. You have to trust that God has already prepared the way, even when it feels uncertain. Because the moment you take that first step, everything changes. If this message has spoken to you, if something inside you is telling you that this is the moment you have been waiting for, then do not let it pass you by. Make a declaration today. Type in the comments, "I am chosen, and I will walk in my purpose." Speak it. Claim it. Let it be the first step towards stepping into everything that was always meant for you. And if you want to continue growing, learning, and stepping deeper into your faith, then subscribe to this channel and follow Jesus. Do not walk this journey alone. Stay connected, stay grounded, and keep moving forward. My name is Oliver, and I want you to know that you are not alone. I have walked this path. I have faced the struggles, the doubts, the battles that come with being chosen. And I can tell you from experience, everything you are going through has a purpose. Every challenge is shaping you. Every hardship is refining you. And if you do not give up, if you keep walking in faith, you will step into something greater than you ever imagined. Thank you for being here, for allowing me to speak into your life, for taking the time to seek truth. This is only the beginning. Stay strong, stay faithful, keep going. And remember, you are chosen. I will see you in the next message.